Hi, and welcome to Gym Owner's Stories, a place where you will get to know what inspires a normal person to become an entrepreneur and to live his life being all he can be 24/7 365. Pushing himself beyond what he thinks it's possible and performing as if it would be the last minute of his last Super Bowl. Enjoy.
We have today the owner of the Precision Lifestyle Academy, Rob Grupe. I have the pleasure to work with him. I think 1 year ago is when we start working together, when our friendship started. And in all this time, he's one of the most mature people or persons that I know when it comes to controlling yourself, being in control of yourself. I never saw Rob losing control or I don't know, blaming things out of his control. He's always in control of himself. He never blames something outside of himself. And he's always cool. He's always, he never makes excuses. And he's always doing the things that he needs to do. As you know, I love the way you close. I love the way you are so committed and so consistent with your things, man. And I appreciate that you're doing this. And I admire many, many aspects of your personality. And it's a pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. So the purpose of this conversation is going to be to discover more about what inspired Rob Grupe to become the owner of this business, the Precision Lifestyle Academy.
It's Group E.
Group E.
Group E.
All right. How do you like it more? Because I like it more like Group. It sounds like more like you, like very, very strong. But if you like more Groupie or Group, I'm very curious to know because I like more Group, but it's Groupie. I mean, I'm cool with that name. What do you like more?
That's the way it's pronounced. It's not that I like one or the other.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. So it's Groupie, cool. Rob Groupie.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. Thank you so much. So I want to know chronological, what is the signs? What is the experiences? What is the things that happen in your life for you to be the person that you are right now, in the position that you are right now, with the decision that you took to help people become stronger, to help people overcome not only physical appearance, but also improve their self-limiting beliefs and many other aspects of their life. You right now are the owner of the Precision Lifestyle Academy, in where you do that, you help people become stronger and also become better persons in general. And I want to know if there is like a chain, like a correlation between you as a child, you as an adolescent, you as a college student, perhaps, and what is the things in your life that leads to this point? So let's start with your childhood, man. What was like growing up for you?
So I was a fat kid growing up, and it was basically a humiliating experience. I got beat up on my front porch by a group of older boys. One of them punched me in the face, another one spit on me, and it was like kind of like a fight or flight moment. And I just found myself like pleading, like, please stop, and then and they did, and I went back in the house, and I just felt so humiliated. I felt so humiliated that I didn't do anything, that I didn't defend myself, and I never wanted to feel that way again, and I didn't want anyone else to feel like that either. So around that same time, my dad got me into bodybuilding, and that just really, it changed my life and gave me a sense of purpose and direction, gave me confidence. And that was the first turning point in my life of giving me something like productive to move towards.
Your dad was into bodybuilding as well?
When he was younger, yeah. So he introduced me to bodybuilding magazines and like different movies. Like he would always have me watching like Arnold movies and stuff like that. So just really, and especially correlating with that with the incident that happened with me on my front porch. There was one other one, actually, now that I think about it, where I got my bike stolen from me while I was on it.
Wow. I
had somebody like hit me, take my bike from me when I was on it. Yeah. So around the same age, younger, maybe 11, 12.
That was more like a thief, or was one of the bullies of the school?
No, it was me and another guy. I just got this brand new bicycle, and we rode by this school, and I was so proud of my bike. And then I got surrounded by this group of older boys, and then one of them hit me from behind, like knocked me out for a second, and then my bike was gone.
Shit.
So it's like two events like that. And yeah, just that really lit the fire in me to, I wanted to become like the biggest, strongest version of myself, so that couldn't happen anymore.
Can you explain really fast more about the porridge? Because I don't really understand what is a porridge. What is the porridge experience that you're talking about?
So like when you walk outside your front door,
yep,
onto your porch, like the porch with steps that leads up to your house.
Oh, okay.
Is what I mean. So it was my sister answered the door. She's like, "Hey, there's some people out in front for you." Okay. And so I went out there, and I thought it was like my friends, and like it wasn't. You know, I walked out into being surrounded by a group of older guys that ended up beating me up on my front porch. Yeah, right in front of my house.
Oh my God, that's kind of weird, man. What about your family? Your family wasn't there?
No, I mean, like no one really knew what was going on. It was like long story short, I was getting into things that I shouldn't have been into. I was dealing in drugs a little bit, and one of the guys in that group felt disrespected by me, I guess, for some reason, for something earlier that had happened. I didn't even know what was going on really, and just, you know, so I was completely surprised by it happening.
Okay, and what was your age? How old were you?
Man, probably like 11, 12, something like that.
Oh, you were extremely young.
Yeah.
Okay, 11 years old. That's extremely young. So you were a victim of bullying. Well, that sounds pretty hard, man. I mean, 11 years old having that level of bully. I think that's kind of unusual. Where did you grow up? Where did this happen?
This is in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma.
So it was the area that I grew up in. It had like some rough parts around it. And so, yeah.
Okay. You're a tough person. Do you believe you learned something from being in a tough neighborhood, something in your personality? Maybe you're, I don't know, more able than other people to deal with hard situations, or it was all wrong? Or do you can take something good out of this?
I think you can take a lesson from everything, you know, because like that incident there, like if we're fast forwarding many years later to me being in Juarez, Mexico, where I got the first surgery of my life happened in Juarez, Mexico, murder capital of the world. Right. And that was being in there. I had a girlfriend there, I had a drug operation going in Mexico. And we had just left the bar and dropped off some of my buddies, and we went into this little burrito stand to get some food. And there were some guys in there speaking in Spanish and English, and I could just feel the tension in the air. And that my girl looked at one of their girls, and then I just glanced at this guy, and he takes his shirt off, and he's like, "What's up, motherfucker?" You know, and just talking all this shit to me. And there was a big group of them. So I'm just slowly like backing up to my car thinking, okay, I'm about to get jumped here. And then I got in my car, and we're starting to drive off, and the dude's like, "Yeah, bitch," you know, like, and so I'm driving away, and it's me and her driving away. And then it just all came flooding back to me, like me, you know, just the way I felt when I was that fat kid getting beat up. And I was like, nope. Like, I'm not going to let this slide. This isn't going to be another thing that's going to eat at me like that. So I turned around and I grabbed 3 of my friends that I had dropped off. And I was like, "Hey, we're going to go to this place. We're going to fight these guys." And so we went and we parked out front, and it was like a burrito stand. So there was just openings on each side. And I ran in there, and I just saw the guy that had talked all the shit to me. He's sitting there, and I could just see the side of his face. He's probably talking about how he just punked that gringo guy. And I ran in there and crow hopped, and I boom, just hit that dude harder than I've ever hit anybody in my life. And it just connected perfectly, knocked him out. And then I'm fighting with these 2 other guys. I turn around, and one of them just kind of clips me on the chin. It drops me for a second. I get back up, and then he ducks his head into my chest, and I'm just like punching the top of the back of his head. not knowing that I'm just breaking my hand. Like, so I just break my hand and I don't feel it because the adrenaline's pumping. And then my friends are like, let's go. And I turn around and there's like blood everywhere. Wow. And we go and we get in my car, and my buddy gets in the car and he's holding his hand, and there was like a cut like in his thumb like this. He's bleeding everywhere. And then around that same time, a cop comes up on a bicycle and he starts reaching into my window to take the keys out of my ignition. And so I just put my hands up like, oh man, we're busted. And my buddy looks at me and he's like, what are you doing? Go. You know, so I just like put it in drive, turn the wheel, punch the gas, and like the cop like fell out of the window and we're driving away.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh my God, you know, and then I look down at my hand and like these knuckles are down here, and my buddy's like slinging blood all over the inside of my car. So there's no way we could have gone out into El Paso. So we had to go to a hospital there locally. And luckily, like his dad owned a hospital. So they took me to a hospital and I had to get surgery there right then that night. So I woke up, you know, with 2 pins and a screw in my hand, you know, having to have surgery there in Juarez, Mexico. And when I got up the next morning, my buddies came to my room and they're showing me like the newspaper. And it's talking about what happened in the newspaper. The guy hit it, like broke his jaw, but then it talked about people getting stabbed. And I was like, what? I was like, you stabbed people? Because my buddy, what I didn't know is he went in there and he just started stabbing people.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh my God, you stabbed people? And he was just like, yeah. You know, like, yeah, like, what do you mean? Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so it just like really hit me then, like, oh my God, like I could have been the one getting stabbed.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, but it was my ignorance, you know, saved me. But it was like at the same time, you know, that stemmed from that event of like when I ran in there and I hit that guy, it wasn't just me hitting the guy there. It was me settling the score for all the feelings that I felt, you know, from being the fat kid, being bullied. It was like, bam, right there. I settled it, you know, and so I had that feeling, but at the same time, I came out of it with a broken hand. So it's a temporary sense of relief. But yeah, it was something that was from my past that carried to that moment right then.
Awesome, man. Wow. I mean, that's so impressive. I couldn't even take notes, man. Oh my God. It's like, it's a tough story. I mean, I just got lost in the moment. I didn't took any notes. How old were you at that time when this situation happened?
I was about 20 in 20. Mexico when this happened. Yeah.
Okay, 20. So at 20 years old, you were involved in these kind of bad things. You were involved in this, all in.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, you know, I started getting into dealing weed whenever I was about probably 14, 15 years old. Okay. And the thing that really, I remember the moment I had an older buddy of mine and we went to go get like a quarter bag of weed from his weed dealer. And we went in his house and he had like this big bag of individually wrapped quarter bags. And when I saw it, it was just like, I just saw like power. I saw power. And thinking about it now, you know, coming from a person feeling helpless in the sense that I was bullied, you know, I saw this represented power. You know, if I could be a part of this, I could be powerful. I could have money, you know, I would have respect. Okay. So that drew me into that lifestyle, which ultimately led to me having a drug operation out of Mexico.
So in some regard, at 15 years old, having this weed dealing, like the weed, that represents escape from all the pain that you were feeling since you were 11 years old. So it's kind of a way to escape from everything that you have been suffering. And you just found this thing that is kind of brilliant, that it means power, that it means control, and you saw that like a solution.
Yeah, it was like the combination of me starting to get into bodybuilding, so getting some confidence from that, from some certainty from that, and at the same time getting into drugs. You know, I was able to make money, so I had more certainty and sense of power, significance from that. So yeah, it was kind of a compound effect there. And then for the longest time, like the dealing drugs was like a business to me. I took it like as a business. And it wasn't until I ended up getting a lower back injury that I started using my own drugs. And that was what really started to unravel everything and bring it to an end.
What was the deepest moment for you in your in this period of your life when you were dealing with weed? What was the deepest time? Like, what was the age in where you were all in, like completely involved?
Really, from about 18 on, I made my first. So it was kind of, I mean, there's many parts to that question right there. But so it started off like I was in search of a specific steroid. And I knew they had them in Mexico, and me and a buddy of mine just decided to just go to Mexico one day. So we went there and started going to different pharmacies and looking for the steroid. And then I ended up meeting these two brothers that ended up being my connection for everything. They're like, hey, next time you need something, just come down, just come here. And so what started out me bringing like $500 at a time, getting just steroids, led into me bringing $20,000 down at a time and getting massive quantities of Xanax and Valium as well, because they kept asking me, do you know anyone that wants Xanax or Valium? And I was like, no, I don't know anybody. And they're like, just ask. So one time I asked one of the people that I was selling steroids to, like, hey, do you know anyone that wants Xanax or Valium? And the guy's like, oh, fuck yeah. And so within like a month, my operation just completely changed, and like it just started growing massively. And so at the same time, like there's this growing sense of anxiety too, because I'm making so much money, and the adrenaline rush of like, I had a whole system of how I would get drugs out of Mexico, hide them. And like, I had my back seat set up to where I had a guy that crossed the border for me in El Paso. I'd pick up the drugs. I'd go through a drive-through car wash. As soon as the car was covered with soap, I'd turn around, pull up the back seat, take out this piece that revealed a void in the top of the gas tank. And I'd put all the drugs in there, put that piece back, put the seat back down, put a bolt in. And then when I went through the second checkpoint, when they would stop you and ask you purpose of your visit, citizenship, purpose of your visit, I'm like, yeah, you know, American citizen, and purpose of my visit, I'm part of a network marketing company. Part of my downline is here. And if you have a second, I'll tell you about it. And they're like, no, go. You know, so I had a system for everything. And each time I would get past it and crest the top of this hill, the just rush I would get, like, yeah, I knew I was going to make like $20,000. And so I knew there was no way that I was going to just stop doing that, because it was too easy. It was too big of a rush. And at the same time, I knew ultimately it was going to come to an end and it wasn't going to be good. Yeah. So there was that going on. I got the lower back injury and from that, I started taking painkillers, like, because part of what I was bringing down was painkillers for a while, and I got hooked on them really bad. And then for whatever reason, around that time when I was hooked on painkillers really bad, I decided it would be a good idea.
I just lost you for a second, man.
Cocaine.
I lost you for a second.
Are you there?
Yeah. I lost you since painkillers. You were start taking painkillers. Yeah. Your lower back, and you start taking painkillers. Okay. And you really got kind of addicted to painkillers.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got addicted to painkillers bad, like taking 300 milligrams of Oxycontin a day. Bad. That's a lot. And so that's basically ended up like equated to like a $300 a day habit. Ooh. And around the same time, I decided it would be a good idea to start selling cocaine too. So I started selling cocaine. I started sniffing it. And so I was taking cocaine and I was sniffing it so much, so often, that it messed up my nose to the point where I couldn't sniff it anymore. Yeah. And so I had been through health science technology 1 and 2 in high school. And I was like, you know what? I should probably just shoot it. Obviously, I mean, like Sigmund Freud did it. You know, he's a pretty smart guy. I know how to do injections sterilely. I learned it in health science technology 1 and 2. So I can do this. I know how to use bacteriostatic water. So I justified all these things to myself. And so I started shooting cocaine.
Shooting meaning putting injection means shooting?
Yeah, shooting into my veins. Yeah, cocaine. every day, about 15 times a day. And so by you asking like, what was the deepest moment?
Yeah.
The deepest moment was I'm shooting cocaine about 15 times a day. And this one particular day, I made up a double dose. Like I used to weigh each shot. I would weigh the amount of cocaine on the scale. And this day I made a double dose and I meant to split it, but I forgot. So I'm in the bathroom. My daughter and her mom are in the next room. They have no idea what's going on. And I take this shot. And as soon as I push it all in, like I know I messed up. It hits me in that moment. That was a double. And I know I messed up. So I start to freak out a little bit, but at the same time, like I didn't want them to know what was going on. So I got myself into the shower, the water's covering my body. I'm trying to feel my pulse. And I'm just like saying to myself, like, oh my God, please don't die. Please don't die. And in that moment, like I had an image, a visualization of me being like of my daughter and her mom being at my gravesite. And finally the feeling passes. The feeling passes, and you'd think that would be, you know, the part of the story when I'm like, and that's when I turned my life around and I got clean, but I didn't. You know, I was so deep in my addiction that literally within 30 minutes after that, I was fixing up another shot. And so after I got locked up, reflecting back on that moment, thinking like, man, how could I have justified doing that? And I had no answer for it because it just didn't make sense. And that's how addiction works. When you're so into the depths of addiction, like the shit that you do and you justify, it doesn't make sense.
Oh man, that's hard. That's hard, man. That's incredibly hard. So 18 years old, you start with this. 20 years old, you had this problem in where you punch this guy and one of your friends decide to stab another people. What age is, how old were you when you were experiencing this, when you had this thing in the
This
shower?
was about 23, 24. This was right before I ended up getting locked up. Because whenever I got hooked on painkillers and cocaine really bad, that's when everything started to fall apart. Everything started to fall apart. What brought all that to an end, Dryan, was I fell asleep at the wheel. My foot stayed on the brake. I was at an intersection, fell asleep at the wheel. My foot stayed on the brake at an intersection. And so there's no telling how many times the light turned red, green, yellow over and over again before the police finally got there. I woke up to the police pulling me out of my vehicle. And just by luck, you know, my foot didn't slip off the brake and I float out into the intersection, you know, possibly killing myself or somebody else. But I woke up to the police pulling me out of my vehicle and I had drugs and a gun on me.
Ooh.
So that was what, and you know, I had to go to jail for that. And they found the drugs in my car. And so I got an attorney, and my attorney was like, oh man, no big deal. First offense, you're just going to get some probation or something like that. But then after going through court, you know, the judge didn't see it that way. And they ended up giving me a 20-year prison sentence.
God, this is a lot of time.
Yeah. So that day in court, my life changed in the moment that they're cuffing my hands behind my back and I hear my family start crying. And I made a decision that day in that moment that I was going to change my life and I was going to help other people change their lives as well. I was like, all right, this is the reality of the situation. My decisions that I made led up to this moment. Whether that's a harsh first offense sentence or not, had I not been living the lifestyle and making the choices that I made, this wouldn't be happening. So it's on me. So I'm going to make every day count. There's not going to be one day I can look back on and think, oh, why didn't I use my time more efficiently? And so that's exactly what I did. I made every day count.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. You were 24 years old when this happened?
Yep. When I went to prison, I was 24.
24. But this incident with the car happened. You were 24 years old, right?
23 or 24. So
how old was
your
daughter? Your daughter, how was
my daughter was 2 when I went to prison.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. Okay, man. Now, Did you get out of prison like earlier for good the thing
Yes,
that yeah.
yes. So I discharged a 20-year sentence in 7 years, 6 months, and 18 days.
That's great. Okay, that's not
So you
bad, man.
get good time for different things, completing different programs. So I did everything I could to get good days. I got 2 different associate degrees of college while I was locked up, learned how to operate heavy machinery, learned commercial cleaning, anything I could do, like any program that I could do, I did.
That was the turning point. Totally, that was the turning point.
The turning point was my sentencing day. That was the turning point.
How was your sentencing day?
So going in there thinking like I'm just going to get some probation to them giving me a 20-year sentence right then, that was the turning point. That was like, okay, like this is for real. This is for real. Like, and so I didn't play the victim card. I wasn't like, oh, it's so unfair. You know, it's just like this, I did this. This is my fault. So now I'm going to make every day count. It pissed me off too. It was like, all right, it like gave me an anger, like, all right, I'm going to show everybody, including myself, like I'm going to come out of this stronger and a better person.
Wow. It's incredible. It's taking something extremely wrong, extremely dangerous. When I think about your life, man, it sounds like a miracle that you're alive. Not only the car incident, also this thing when you were in the shower and you were asking like God or something that please don't die. Please don't die, because it was so fucking much. I mean, it was double thing, like the thing that you explained. And not even that was enough for you to realize that there is a change that needs to be made in your life, but it needs to happen something extreme as the incident on the car that really turns your life around. But it's incredibly interesting how come something that bad can give you that motivation and determination and necessity to change your life, to keep your commitment for many years and become the person that you are today. That's extremely powerful. That's extremely, I mean, the first time that I knew that you were on prison, I couldn't believe it. I say, what the hell? How can you turn your life around so much? How can you change so much? How can you make that big change? It's like a leap. It's like a quantum leap. It's something extremely good that you take from something that was wrong. And that's amazing, man. It's incredible. That's a great message. That's a great example.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Awesome, brother. Well, it was incredible. Now, 24 years old, 7 years in prison. So you went out of jail at 31 years old.
32, or
32.
actually 30, maybe it was 33. I got out September 11th, 2012.
September 2012.
September 11th.
That was announced to be the last year of the war by the Mayas, but it was not.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, that was announced to be the last year of the war by the Mayas. It's also the last year.
September 11th, 2012. Yeah.
September 11, 2012.
Yeah, right, because this September of this year will be 9 years that I've been out.
This September is going to be 9 years.
September 11th will be 9 years since I've been out.
Okay, September 11 is going to be 9 years. That means that you are 41 years old in this September.
I'll be 43.
43.
September, yeah.
43. Okay, awesome, man. Well, what was the first thing you did as soon as you get out of jail?
So it went in multiple phases. So I spent 6 months, about 6 months in Oklahoma County Jail waiting to get processed to go to prison. And Oklahoma County Jail is like where I saw the worst disregard for human life, like saw literally people get beat to death.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, like, man, I'm fixing to go to prison. Like I hadn't even gotten to prison yet, and I'm seeing this. And then I went from there to a medium/maximum security prison because of the gun charge there's a point system, and anything above a certain amount of points puts you in a maximum medium security prison. So I had to start out in a high level of security. And in there was people that had, life without parole. So when you're in an environment with people that know they're never going home, like just the tension in the air is different. Because I mean, if somebody gets a bad phone call, a bad letter or something like that, they can just, somebody can just get the fuckets, because they don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
So it's just like that environment is just, it's a different kind of environment. So definitely. I spent 18 months there, and then I spent 3.5 years at a minimum security prison. And then I spent another 18 months at a work center, and then 18 months in a halfway house. So in the halfway house is like you would work during the day and then come back and sleep there at night. And then I finally got out. So to answer your question, like the day that I got out, I didn't know I was getting out that day, because whenever you get close to getting out, they send your what's called your jacket, your file, in for review to audit like your days, if you got the good days you're supposed to get and all those things. And so on the day that I got released, I was about to go to work, and they called me in the office and they're like, "Hey, you're going home today."
Wow.
And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, you're going home today? I was like, so like I need to call somebody to come pick me up? And they're like, yeah. So like I go pack up my stuff and bring it down here. And like, yeah. Okay. And then I can like go outside, and like, yeah, it was just a very like surreal moment.
Yeah, definitely.
That I was really like, that I was finally done.
Wow. That should have been one of the happiest moments of your life, perhaps.
It was really like surreal. It's just like,
you were in shock.
Really believe. Yeah, a little bit, because then it was like about finding a new normal.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the system, everything happens at certain times, so then it was like getting out, like I had to find new structure for myself. And that was challenging a little bit.
Okay. So it's kind of, you were kind of used to having a system that you didn't have control in the system. Someone else put that system for you that was helping you somehow. I mean, it was helping you. Now you need to create that system for you.
Yeah. Oh. Yep. So I had to create a new system for myself. And I struggled a little bit with it because, I had freedom to do things again. So I ended up like, I met a girl online, and she lived in Alaska. And so the first New Year's that I was out, I spent it in Alaska with this girl that I met online. And wake up call moment where when I got out, I lived with my mom and stepdad for about 6 months.
6 months.
And I started personal training people. I got out, and so a night I had gone out and I had some drinks, and I woke up hungover at like noon at my parents' house. And then I just had this moment like, what the fuck are you doing? Hungover at noon at your freaking parents' house? What the fuck's wrong with you? So I was like, all right, I gave myself a 30-day timeline and make something happen with it, or I'm not meant to do it, and I need to move on to something else. And so I did. I started being successful as a personal trainer, and then from there, that led to me opening my first facility, and that's what like really started everything. From there, I had 2 failed partnerships, which led to me getting my first coach. And that was a huge turning point in my life, getting my first coach, because it was really expensive for me. It was $1,600 a month. And I just didn't have that kind of money, but I was not happy with the way things were going. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm either going to make things happen with the resources that they give me, or I'm not. And what that did was that broke open my belief system as far as what was possible. And from there, I've since that moment gone on to invest well over $500,000, closer to $600,000, in working with some of the top fitness, nutrition, peak performance, behavioral change experts in the world. And, just get to continue learning and have no debt either, because anytime you learn, you get coaching, you get guidance from people that are better, smarter, in a further place than you increase the value of yourself and the value that you can provide for other people. So it's just been a virtuous cycle. It's like when I was in the drug world, I ascended in the drug world. I got good at drug dealing, and that didn't serve me. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for other people. But now in this world, I'm ascending in meeting and working with top people, influencers, thought leaders. And that is a virtuous cycle, because it's a perpetual cycle. And it just like, the more that I do it, the more it branches off into other things that I get to learn and be a part of. And it's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's extremely deep. It's like a miracle. But it's the proof that you can take something wrong into the fire inside you to make a serious commitment that you can keep for 9 years and just live your life like the last day, like making the choice to be all you can be every single day. And I feel that that's what you have been doing since you realized that you were extremely deep into something wrong, and you just decided to change your life. Thank you so much for this time, man. It's incredible. It's incredible. So this is the way we're gonna end with this story. Thank you so much for sharing this conversation with me. Thank you for your knowledge. I also apply this in my life, and I think everyone who is gonna be able to know more about your story, they're gonna make no more excuses. That everything is possible, and you can take a lesson from everything, as you said at the beginning of this conversation. Thank you so much, man. Anything that you want to say in closing?
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Gym Owner's Stories Show. If you want to learn more about 6 books that will help you to achieve quantum growth, check out the link below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I will be very sad. Now go make shit happen.